Okay, welcome back everyone to CodeLibrary.net. In this video tutorial, we learn about .NET video series that we are continue from the last video that we learn how to build ASP.NET web development platform in .NET. And in this video, I would like to talk you guys about how to make data validation, or you can make validate field in ASP.NET in order to know some advantage or why we use data or why we use the technique or concept of validation in ASP.NET. So in ASP.NET validation rule, we can build both client-side that we call client-side validation and the types of another one validation is server-side validation that we can configure both sides of web application that we will check and validate data before user inputs. So now in this topic, we learn how to make validates or how to create validation in both client side and server side in ASP .NET Core MVC. So let's get started to see our project, and in the real project that we will make the validation in firstly I will talk about how to create validation in client-side technique that we build the validation. So let's get started to open our project, and now I will get started with Microsoft Visual Studio IDE, and I will open my my web application simple project. Okay, now let's waiting for our project is running to open the file directories, and you can see is all of this sample project that you can see, and this sample project is I already make migration, update database, and do something such as scaffold identity, scaffold CRUDs already for CRUD operation. And I just want to introduce you how validation work and what is the technique of that we can build validation technique of that validation in both client side and server side. Now, if we talk about the client side, let's get to see validation is we used to prevent unauthorized or unnecessary data input from user. So in this technique, we simply used to make validates or check validates of data input. Always we make the property inside the form inputs when the user input data. So if I go to views and I go to see something like okay, let's continue to see how we make validate. The first we make validate in client side that we will write some code to change or to make validation in client side that we use in form. Example, I have views, and inside view we have directory products, that in products it generate or we create 3 on and files of this file like create.cshtml, delete.cshtml, detail.cs HTML. So client-side validation is a technique that we build or we check, we make something that we check validates before user input data in order to make correctly user input and prevent from unauthorized input or unnecessary data. So in order to follow or to validate in client side, we go example in this product directory, we go to create, because create form on cs dot create or dot cs HTML form. That form for we create data or post data that user need to input via the form. So inside this, where we can make the this following for validation is we use span take element in HTML in order to make some validation and show some error when we we use validation for this field. So we use span and then we use ASP validation for, and it's called for field of property of model class in ASP.NET, and we write some property, class property, that it will show the value type danger. So it will work when we run the project and user try to input the name or empty name and user click submit. It will show the error by this type danger that show the character of CSS style with this class. So all of field inputs in form creates, if we use span to check validation, and then we use ASP validation for and the name of property of model class. So then we put some, or we create some style of CSS style that we call from class, such as type danger that show some error message like red text message also. And we apply to all field inputs in creates because form creates is used for user input data or create data. So we only apply this for create client-side validation. Okay, it's one way that we can use second validation technique if we use validation on server side. On server side, we can configure or we can create the validation on model class, and in controller class that we writing the code in controller class. We can both create validation on server side, both in model class that we can make some validation on the field property of model class, and we can make validation techniques by writing code in controller class in each action method in the controller class also. Now let me learn together how to create validation technique and some technique that we use in creating validation technique in model class and controller that we are called server-side validation. In this, I have this example to use validate inside model, and we can see inside model directories we have products. So let's get to products. In order to configure or to make validation for product, we use data annotation for each property of model class. In order to assign data annotation for make annotation to property of the class or model class if we use inside square bracket, and you can see you can write example key, because I want to make this as a key and this key as a identity on the this field ID also. So you need to input data annotation, component model, and data annotation namespace. In order to use data annotation, to use it for create validation inside the model class. I also make multi validation or multi data annotation for set validation to each field property of model class also, such as ID. I can set key because I want to set IDs as a primary keys, and I can also use another data annotation property set, such as require, because I want to make ID is not null before user click to input or click to save the data. We must require this field for input, mean that we are not allowed null value. Another way, in the next property, we also set require, because this data annotation is we use for validate, mean that name is required when someone or when the user submit data. If the name property empty in the form field, the system will alert it require the name before we input, not allowed. And the third one is description. Example, 3 field property in the model class. We put all data annotation in order to create validation for each property of model class. Sometimes you can make change to this technique, such as we can make mark length, and we can set the length character, input length or character of the name, such as 100, mean that people can user can input 1 until 100 character. More than 100 character is not allowed. Example, you can decrease to 50 character only with the name, or 20 character. And description, you can set to mark length 200 character, mean that description you can write description character is from 1 character until 200 character. Beside of this is not allowed here. Another way, you can go to controller, and because you create validation on server side. I want to show you here is the how we set more validate is here. If we use if statement and we use model state dot is valid, because we want to check something is already exists in the field form field before we add data and we create data. So we use this code to check property field in order to all the field is valid, mean that all the field is not be null, so data will be input where the form field. This is the two way that we use for make validates before we post data via the form. and we use this for side and server side validation. So in conclusion, you can use validation rule in ASP.NET Core MVC. Both technique is we use. One is client side validation, is we make validation on form, and we use take HTML tag element to create validation on client side. And the second one is we config and we create validation on server side that we set on model class and in action controller. Thank you for watching the video and hope to see you in the video.